Hey, welcome back to Healing Sessions XJW Recovery. Today we're doing part 2 of developing our intuition. So, in the last episode, we talked about this massive amount of information that our brain is taking in constantly. 11 million bits of information per second. We are unconsciously processing about 40,000 bits of information per second. And we can only consciously, in our conscious part of our brain, we can only handle about 40 bits of information per second. So how do we make decisions? What do we do with all of this information that's in our head? There's two ways that we can process it. We can do the deliberate, logical, reasoning way of processing information, or we can trust our intuition. We can develop our intuition. So in the last video, I made myself laugh because 40,000 bits of information and then 40 were consciously aware of. I could do the math in my head really quick, and I thought I can't do the math on 11 million divided by 11 million. And then I realized this is a great example that I'm going to illustrate right here. So here's the difference between logically, rationally processing all of the information that we have at our disposal to come to a conclusion and relying on our intuition. When we logically try to make a decision based on those 40 bits of information, it is like old school long division, right? So I didn't take the time to do out this long division problem of 40 divided by 11 million, and I write it all out. And that's us with our rational brain trying to come to a conclusion. You know what? I have a calculator, so I can very quickly do 40 divided by 11 million. Ka-ching! There's our answer right there. That's how much faster our intuition is. Our intuition takes us from long division to, okay, so we're actually only using 0.00000009 of all the information that we have at our disposal. That's why developing our intuition is so important, because we have a supercomputer and we've shut it down because of our background. Not just us, lots of people don't live in the realm of trusting their intuition. We have a tendency in our culture to rely more on tangible facts that can be proven. And the simple fact is we have a whole lot more information than that. There's no way that we could possibly ever come to a great conclusion just on those 40 bits of information that we're consciously aware of. We need to start learning how to trust and tap into 11 million pieces of information. Just really quickly, though, I wanted to talk for a second about the second brain, which is in our gut. So maybe you've heard about the second brain being in our gut before. This is fascinating to me. I've got a couple of notes here that I'm actually gonna read some of these notes off to you. Why is the gut referred to as the second brain? Basically, in a nutshell, the gut has its own nervous system. It's called the ENS, the enteric nervous system. Our gut actually has over 100 million neurons in it. That's almost as much as the spinal cord. And this neural network that we have in the gut, it can function independently of the brain and the spinal cord. And there's a connection between our gut brain and our brain. The two are in constant communication through our vagus nerve. And what it forms is this gut-brain axis. And literally what that means is that our gut can influence the brain and vice versa. So when we're talking about intuition, a lot of times we'll say that we feel it in our gut. Well, that's not just some sort of flaky, woo-woo feeling. You have an entire 100 million neurons in that brain. And that's why our gut can affect even our mood, our stress responses, and our cognitive function. And the vice versa of that is also true. Stress and other emotions can actually impact our digestive tract. Oftentimes, people that have stomach cramps, irritable bowel syndrome, other digestive issues, they almost always have also stress levels. They also have emotional traumas. And there is a direct connection in between our brain and our gut brain. Also, our gut produces a lot of the same neurotransmitters that the brain does. Serotonin is one of the biggest ones. Up to 90% of the body's serotonin is produced in our gut. And that's not the only one. Dopamine, GABA, those are also linked to our mood and our mental health. Those are also highly influenced by our literal digestive tract. You might remember maybe when you were in the cult thinking that you had to give a comment or preparing for a part or something like that, and maybe you felt it in your stomach. I remember when I was young, I would get so nervous and so worked up over having to give a part that sometimes I would even be in the bathroom throwing up. It was so effective. It affected me so much. And, my very literal left brain dad was like, well, that's silly. You just need to suck it up and get over it. But there is a direct connection between our emotional well-being and our second brain and the second gut that we have with these 100 million neural connections there. And in recent decades, scientists have discovered that the gut, has its own network of neurotransmitters in neurons. So this gut-brain connection is a real thing. And many times in the coaching room, when I'm using the tool that I use of the NLP, because a lot of times we think of trauma, we think of emotions, and we always relate it to the brain. But frequently when we're healing and we're releasing some of the trauma and some of the emotions, it is almost always in somebody's stomach, which, on the surface seems kind of like a weird thing until you start investigating how the brain works and how the body works and how are these neurotransmitters in our gut working and how is our gut helping to regulate our mood and our emotions and our cognitive abilities. And the truth is that it is highly connected. Okay, so that kind of explains a little bit more about how we are processing information. We are not just processing it in our brain. We've also got these neuron connections that are in our stomach, in our gut. So why should we think about developing our intuition? Well, like I mentioned in the beginning, doing it the old school way, which is just with our left brain, it's just with our logic, it's just with what we can tangibly understand, that's not enough because there's a whole wellspring of information there. We've got enhanced decision making once we start being able to trust and tap into that intuition. And the trust thing is a big word because we have always downplayed the importance of intuition, especially with scriptures like, the heart is treacherous, et cetera, et cetera. But I think even in spite of that, there's also grains of wisdom in the Bible that point to even being able to use our intuition. For example, you remember the scripture, I'm totally going to misquote this, where it says, you'll hear the voice that says, this is the way in which to walk. This is the way whether it's to the right or to the left. So is that God answering our prayers? Or maybe that's a hint to us being able to listen to our own intuition, us being able to listen to that inner voice that says, I don't think this is a really good idea. I think you should do this idea. Then our logic brain gets in the way and our logic brain's like, well, I don't know, this decision makes the most sense, blah, 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 blah. But you've got that little voice in the background that goes, I don't know, I think this is the way that we should go. Learning how to trust that is going to be key to us thriving in this outside world. Tapping into the intuition gives us enhanced decision making abilities. A lot of times, our intuition draws from past experiences that are stored in the subconscious mind, and it can help us make the right decision even when logic isn't offering us a clear solution. We can't, just like we can't process all of the data that's coming into our brain. We also don't have 100% recollection of every experience that we've ever had, whereas the subconscious mind does have access to that, and that can help us make better decisions. Once we start accessing our intuition, we have improved creativity because it's accessing the right side of the brain. We're rebalancing out that left right brain and improving to learning to trust in our intuition is critical in improving our creativity. When we do that, excuse me, we are literally enabling ourselves to come up with innovative solutions and creative breakthroughs and tapping into inspiration and creativity, which is essential for problem solving. And we have a lot of problems that need to be solved as we're going through this deprogramming, through this journey of healing. We need some out of the box thinking. We need the objective thinking, and tapping into the intuition, which enhances our creativity, is absolutely key. Another thing that it helps us do is it helps us have more confidence when the world around us seems really uncertain. So for sure, as we've left that entire previous life, we've lost all of our social circle, we've lost our beliefs, we're not really sure, there's a lot of uncertainty. And this isn't the only time in life where we're going to have uncertainty. Life often has lots of ambiguity where clear cut rational answers just aren't there. So tapping into our intuition can give us a sense of direction, a sense of confidence, a compass, if you will, when the outside world isn't giving us a really clear outcome. Learning to trust our instincts can make us feel more grounded. It can give us a more self-assured feeling as we're approaching challenges. Another key reason why we want to help start tapping into our intuition is because of our own personal growth and self-awareness. We lived in a world where all of the answers were given to us. They were wrong answers, but the reason why we were easily manipulated is partially because we had shut off our own intuition. Hold on just a second. Okay, apparently my audience here, come here girls, can you say hi? Didn't approve of something I said. So these are my critics in the background here that you often hear. Okay. All right. Going back to what's more important, to personal growth and self-awareness. We came from a world where all of the answers were given to us. And a lot of times I have tons of people say, dang, what the hell? What's wrong with us? Why did we let ourselves be so manipulated? Why did we fall for it? Lack of trusting our intuition. Lack of developing our own inner compass, lack of trusting that inner compass. As we're learning how to trust intuition, people who are highly intuitive, they're more attuned to their own desires, their own needs, their own values. This kind of self-awareness helps us make better life choices, including maybe decisions about relationships, career paths, our personal goals. Sometimes we don't know who we are, and part of that is because we have not tapped into our inner storehouse of information. People who increase their intuition, it fosters resilience. That's what helps us navigate stressful and challenging situations with more calmness, more adaptability. As we learn to trust our instincts, we develop kind of a sense of inner certainty that allows us to bounce back when there's setbacks. And that's even when circumstances are difficult or unpredictable. Resilience isn't just about reacting to adversity, but it's also adapting to it and adapting quickly. And our intuition is like that calculator. It's fast, it's automatic. And the more we can start to rely on that, it helps us be flexible and resourceful when we're facing obstacles. So another kind of a side note here, developing and learning to trust our intuition is not about abandoning logic. I'm not saying just go with whatever whim you think. It's not about abandoning logic and rational thought and just going with feelings. What this is teaching, what I want to help you develop is it's harnessing a deeper level of understanding, a deeper wellspring of knowledge within that actually complements analytical thinking. It actually helps us enhance decision making by tapping into the subconscious knowledge, fostering creativity, improving our emotional intuition, our emotional intelligence. Our intuition really serves as a valuable asset in both personal, professional, spiritual, emotional life. Leads to greater self-confidence, more self-awareness. Okay, so how do we start developing this? How do we start developing this? Hold on. It sounds horrible, but it's just playing. Two monsters playing over there. Hey, go away. Okay. One of the best methods to start developing our intuition is through meditation. I'm probably going to do a couple of guided meditations because it's not what we were thought. It's not what we thought. I know that was such a taboo. I mean, even doing things like yoga and meditation, I think the first thing we're told is, oh, that's gonna let demons into your life. No. If by demon you mean critical thinking that might debunk a cult, yes. but meditation is a way of relaxing our logic mind so that we can allow that intuition to bubble up, so that we can listen to the voices in the background, the voices of wisdom. There's tons of different ways to do this. And like I said, probably one of the easiest ways is we're all super accustomed to prayer. And I know that a lot of us feel extremely confused as we're leaving the religion. What is prayer? What should we pray now? Who are we talking to? What are we talking to? What are we asking for? We don't believe in that. Okay. But the very fact that I spent 38 years praying incessantly gave me a heads up. It gave me a heads up, a foot up. It gave me an advantage when it came to meditating, because I'm always looking for what are some of the good things that we can take away from the religion. And one of the good things that we took away from the religion is we actually can be quiet. When I'm coaching non-XJWs, a lot of times they have a lot of inner chatter and they have a harder time silencing the mind. Whereas we're pretty good at that. We can ease into meditation really easily because we know how to just talk to God. Okay. I'm going to do an entire video on meditation, spirituality, God. You don't have enough patience to watch that entire conversation right this second. But know that you can meditate because it is exactly like prayer. However, instead of asking God for something, you can quite simply go in and ask your unconscious mind for the answers. You can ask the universe for answers. We can do this through, sometimes the answers come through metaphors. Meditation isn't just sitting, like a Buddhist monk, thinking absolutely nothing. There's actually a point to meditation. And when we set our intent before we do a meditation, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Hey, pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised with the results. Okay, all right, so that is part 2, and I will have part 3 coming up probably in about 24 hours or so, and we will be talking about how to actually start harnessing and paying attention and listening to our intuition. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you think guided meditations would be helpful, let me know. I've had several people ask about that, but I know that with our background, we might be a little bit hesitant to do something like that. So if that is something that anybody is interested in, I would really love to know, because otherwise I will probably put that on the back burner. Although personally, I feel like that is super, super, super important in our healing journey. So please leave comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great evening or day, and I'll see you later.